Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. This is my new favorite art as of now. I want to keep this a little bit of a trade secret for now, but this is not a pure metal. It's an alloy that I figured out. I've spent a lot of trial and error figuring it out. I can't wait to see how it does at the art show later this month. And what's really nice is that every one of them turns out differently. It's very lightweight. Part of the problem with the art show is that the logistics of bringing everything, they're always disturbing. To give you an idea, making the art is usually not that hard, and it's fun. Interacting with potential customers, that's also fun. It's a little bit more challenging for me. I'm autistic after all. But the hardest part of any art show is the lifting of hundreds and hundreds of pounds, sometimes a half ton of art, to the show. And this I won't have to do that with. And also the material cost is very low. That's the other half of the equation. A lot of times my material costs are high, and then the art show wants to take a big cut, and I'm not even making all that much. And so this avoids both of those problems. So I'm really excited to see how it will turn. Even if I don't sell very much, most of it is going to be profit, right? Compared to when I was doing the other stuff. I got a little bit of a wake-up call this past week at my new job. You see, when I got to the new campus last week, I was kicking myself for not making important connections at my last couple of jobs. And you got to understand why I didn't. I got burned too many times in the past. I would help my colleagues that were dealing with tricky situations, family matters. I had a colleague who had maternity leave issues. I had another colleague who was had a family member who was going through cancer, which is all great, except it doesn't always reciprocate, right? A lot of people forget that I don't have a spouse taking care of me, and to give you an idea what I mean by that, during the pandemic, Wi-Fi would cut out, and I would literally drive around looking for Wi-Fi rather than explaining that I'm in a difficult situation. I was living in Wallace, Idaho. We had a power outage, and I literally drove from Wallace to Spokane, Washington. I'll let you Google how far that is. Drove from Wallace to Spokane, and then got to remember COVID. You couldn't sit in a Starbucks. I was literally walking around with my laptop looking for somewhere with an outdoor, not only an outlet but Wi-Fi as well, and scrambling. Meanwhile, my colleagues, they got spouses, right? Which is fine. I don't mind running around looking for Wi-Fi, but when I have a situation that I'd like to take a mental health day, I want to be able to be on equal terms with my colleagues. And so, for the last 3 years, I've been kind of practicing that. Even if my colleague tells me they have cancer, I don't care, because that's the attitude they give me. I mean, it seemed like a good idea while it was going on, except you got to remember, as an adjunct professor, I really depend on my crew for their eyes and ears, and it hasn't served me very well this past semester. And so when I walked into the campus, I told myself I got to network more with the rest of my colleagues. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done, because the first day of the job, I went to the break room and I quickly realized I had to excuse myself because of my autism flaring up from all the motion in the break room. I do not deal with stimuli very well. And then sometimes there's food allergy issues, and right, especially if there's eating and drinking, I often have to pull myself away from it. And then one day I go into the break room when it's not so crowded, and I quickly realize that I have very different hobbies than a lot of my colleagues. They're talking about football. They're talking about Taylor Swift recently getting engaged, which is all, I mean, I'm not against that stuff, but that's not where my interests are. And I quickly realized I have to pull myself away from that. I'm thinking the next time my colleague has cancer, or their kids don't have somebody to bring to the field trip, I'll fill in for that, but I'll have to be more forceful when taking back a returned favor, right? Hey, sorry, I had a mental health breakdown today, or sorry, my Wi-Fi's not working, and just pull out and literally disconnect, right? I think that's how I'm going to handle it. From that, at least we'll have back and forth, right? And that way I won't feel burned, right? Even if we don't share, we talk about diverse hiring so much. There's racial diversity, gender diversity, LGBTQ. There's even neurodiversity. What about hobby diversity in our workplace culture? I want to introduce that concept to our lexicon somehow. Obviously, I'm not going to go in there and just shout it out, but I want to slowly introduce that concept in some way. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.